Hey everybody, welcome back to Difficulty Locked, a series in which I do quests in order of difficulty, and today we are going to talk about why Eagle's Peak, in my opinion, does not make a good YouTube video. Because you see, I have 3 points to describe why Eagle's Peak, in my opinion, does not make a good YouTube video. Point number 1, the locations. Now let's just look at where you're supposed to be in Eagle's Peak. You start down in Ardoin Zoo, which you're going to get to through the monastery teleport, like me, because you probably have your Ardy cloak already. You speak to a man in the Ardoin Zoo, and then you need to get up to Eagle's Peak. This is your first problem, because there is no good way for a low-level player to get to Eagle's Peak. Qualifier: there is a good way to get to Eagle's Peak, but it is not available to lower-level players, because it's fairy rings. And this is going to be kind of a tangent. Let's just go on a tangent real quick. Tangent number 1. Hunter is gated by Fairy Tale Part 2. And when I say that, you might be saying, Marie, that sounds ridiculous. What are you meaning? What do you mean by this? And what I mean by this is definitely not like that you have to do Fairy Tale Part 2 to unlock the skill of Hunter, because that's not true. What I mean is that every single hunter area in the game is only easily accessible by fairy ring. The polar hunting region has a fairy ring. The jungle hunter region has a fairy ring. Felidip Hills, fairy ring. Pescatoris hunter region, fairy ring. The 4 hunting locations, which were available, I believe, when Hunter first came out, are all only really accessible by fairy ring. This is something I remember when Hunter came out. I was there. And I remember me, being the young person I am, not knowing how good quests are, not having fairy rings, and getting to a hunter area was it was too difficult for my child brain to wrap my head around, and I hated hunter. I could not get to the spots, I didn't know it was good XP, everything was camped by people, and I thought this skill has no purpose, it's bad, and I'm not doing it. And then I got really jealous of people with spottier capes. But anyway, I was a fool back then. But the issue still stands. If you want to get to a hunter area easily, you're probably going to want to use a fairy ring, because those are the easiest. Let's see, how do you get to Eagle's Peak? So, the easiest option is going to be an Amulet of Passage, which, yes, should be accessible to low-level players. If you don't break your Jade, like I did, and if you don't have only 24 instead of the required 27 magic to enchant the thing. So no, I can't use an Amulet of Passage. I know that a lot of people would, if I skipped over it, they would say, but what about an Amulet of Passage? I can't use that one. The next options, other than fairy rings, are going to be the Western Banner 3. It makes it so you can teleport once per day to the Piscatoris fishing colony, which, yes, is closer than... That's the next closest teleport, but it is a Western Banner 3. There's no way I could get that on my account at its current progression, so that's completely out of the question. And then after that, it's teleporting to Barbarian Assault, which doesn't feel closer than Ardoin Monastery. So I had to make the walk from the Ardoin Monastery up to Eagle's Peak multiple times, and it took a lot of energy out of the video. It's hard to get excited about making a video when you have to do this huge trek between takes. So there's that. I did find this gnome statue. I don't know if it's on screen right now, but shouts out to the other famous depiction of a gnome warrior, not the one who was an asshole in the previous videos. This is a cooler one. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something with this later. So, that's a lot of time spent walking, with just the first 2 interactions of the quest, going from Ardy Zoo to Eagle's Peak. One long walk. And then, once you get to Eagle's Peak, you run around a bit, and you have to go all the way over to Varrock, which, if you're a low-level player like me, my best teleport to Varrock is a Chronicle. I don't have the teleport, and even if I did, Law Ruins are precious. So that's another walk. It's half a walk, but it's still a walk. And then, how are you going to get back to Eagle's Peak? Oh, we're going to do that massive walk up from the monastery over to Eagle's Peak once again. So, That's problem number one. You have to go up around this silly walking path, and then once you get there, once you actually get to the Eagle's Peak, here's problem number two. Framing dialogue, framing the conversations of this quest like I do. I like to have that shot reverse shot. It's good filmmaking. It's simple. It's easy. You can do it. If you watched any of my videos, you will see, oh wow, Marie does shot reverse shot every single episode. Yeah, because it's easy, and RuneScape lets you turn the camera and you can just swap back and forth, and I don't have to think about it. Whatever, it looks kind of flat. Whatever. Getting better at it. Get off my back. And so, problem number one, the RD Zoo. Framing a conversation in the RD Zoo, pain in the ass. Because you got all these cages, and you gotta, finagle the camera, and you don't get a choice, really, of which shoulder you're going over, because the cages are in the way. There are worse places in RuneScape, like, for example, second worst shooting location in this quest is actually over in Varrock. You're in that stinky corner. I had a lot of trouble with this back when with the all good priests have axes shot. Remember the all good priests have axes shot? That was annoying. Just down Thumberid on talking to that guy during Plague City or Biohazard or whatever. The guy, you take the plague samples to the guy in Falador or Varrock. It's screw that. Screw that conversation. It was painful to frame, and that's part of why I wanted to do the axe bit, but also I just happened to have an axe in my inventory. It was funny to me, probably not to you. Anyway, the worst of it all, just look at this clip. Let's roll the clip. Do you see that? Do you see that? He doesn't look at you when you talk to him. He's across this chasm, and I don't use Ruin Light, so I can't use the detached camera. And if I could use a detached camera, this would make this so much simpler to have him, to look at him walking around and get that shot and then pan back to me and have that kind of, but he doesn't look at you. I hate it when NPCs don't look at you when you try and talk to them. It's the worst. It ruins half of the shots I try and take of conversations. So much of me making videos is trying to set up good framing on conversations, and I'm barely good at it. And problem number three. Now that we've talked about locations, we've talked about framing your conversations. The worst part of it all is Eagle's Peak is a boring quest. I don't like it. Like, yeah, I could have done the Eagle transport system to get the diary knocked out of the way, but who cares? I didn't think of that in the moment. And collecting these 3 feathers, 1, you run around and press a bunch of buttons. Let's roll the clip. Was that exciting? Was that exciting? No, it wasn't, because all I did was run around and activate winches. And then you run around and fight a thing, and it drops a feather, and I guess there's some funny dialogue that I skipped over. Whatever. And then there's a puzzle. A boring puzzle. It's not even an exciting puzzle. This is a puzzle that I felt like it was okay to look up a guide for. That's how bad it was. It wasn't like the Draenor Manor basement. That was fun. It wasn't like the chemistry test in Recruitment Drive. Those were good puzzles. This one is just annoying. I do not like the gold feather puzzle. And then once you have all these, you just talk to a guy. There's a short cutscene. Let's watch the cutscene. And then oh gosh. I can't even stay in character. This is so silly. Alright, we baited the trap with wheat. Now what? Now we wait quietly. What if I don't like waiting for things? What if I want to kill? Something's coming, and then it shows up, and it's just like, sniff, sniff, what's this? Ooh, yay, cool. And now I just have to go back to yoink. And now I just have to go back to Ordoin. Okay, I guess that's that. So let's I guess I'm just gonna do that. Like, oh, look at that! Like, that was my at the time reaction of that cutscene, and like, wow, cool, love it. I just don't like this quest. I mean, that's the entire rant. This quest is kind of crud to me. Like, it's not exciting. You go, you gather some feathers, you put them into a costume, you run around some puzzles. There's a short combat encounter. Like, it is just a basic quest. And then, you know, you're done. So yeah. I didn't like this quest, and that's why I think it wasn't a good video, so you get this instead. You get me rambling about why I don't think it's a good quest. Thank you, and good night. Hey Charlie, don't question my outfit. I have a ferret for you. Oh, that looks good. You have a... Okay, did you contact Nicholas? Yeah, also here's just take the ferret. I helped you, and I helped Nicholas too, and I love helping people, please. Alright, well, thank you, and I'll take the ferret, and, here's a reward. Yay, rewards! Which is not why I help people. Just so you know. I didn't ask, but okay. Alright, thanks for the opportunity. Hey, the quest is done. My hunters... Swamp lizards.